Who should you trust? There's so many people giving advice nowadays, including myself. And I think it's very important to think about who you're trusting, who you are giving your attention to, and who you are ultimately believing at the end of the day. And who you believe and the advice you take to heart will ultimately decide your path in life, decide your habits, and decide what you do on a daily basis. And with so much information out there, it can get very hard. It can be very, very hard. And I am recently running into this with a lot of the stuff I've been reading about and a lot of the stuff I've been watching on YouTube. And, there's been a couple people that I like to go back to because, for whatever reason, I agree with them, I like them, and I think I can gain wisdom and valuable knowledge from them. And every so often, you find someone who you have been listening to for a while contradict themselves. And you go, wait, I thought you were supposed to do the opposite thing. I thought we were supposed to, do this, but now you're saying do that. That's the thing I haven't been doing because you told me to do this. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I believe, with when new information arises, you should change your views on things. It's arrogant and prideful to keep your view the same because you don't want to be thought to be wrong, or you don't want to be thought to be, wishy-washy. But when new information arises, it's only right that you reevaluate your former equation. So it can be hard because, everyone's changing, everyone's getting different points of view, different information. So who should you trust? And I think Ralph Waldo Emerson puts it perfectly in his self-reliance essay. And I made a video on this essay before, but I've thought about it a lot since I've read it. And I'm realizing it more and more how important self-reliance really is now with all the books I've been reading recently and the YouTube videos I've been watching where things are just contradicting themselves. And it's so hard to know what to believe. And you just start getting frustrated. You're like, well, what am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to sacrifice time with people to, be achieve my goals? Or am I supposed to let my goals come to me and, let go and be like a Chinese monk and just, not care about anything and let the universe unfold while I sit there, passively? So it's, you see both sides and then you're like, well, what do I do? So self-reliance is key, I believe, because you need to formulate your own rational opinion and go with it. You don't want to be dogmatic. You don't want to just hear something and believe it. You want to trust it. Trust that that person is being truthful to you, but verify it. Verify with yourself that you actually believe that statement, that you actually think that this person is right, that you actually think that this is the best thing for you to do with your life. And don't be so rigid when you receive advice uh, from a person, from a video, or from a book. If someone says, you need to eat healthy 7 days a week, or you're gonna die young, or you're gonna die younger than you were you could. You're gonna die younger than you would if you. Okay, you need to eat healthy 7 days a week, or you're gonna die younger than you should if you ate 7 days a week. There it is. Um, and you hear that advice, and you're like, well, I like ice cream or something. I mean, it's not technically healthy, but I like eating ice cream. And you decide for yourself and for your life that you want to eat healthy 6 days a week, and then still eat healthy that seventh day, but have a late night or have a snack of ice cream sometime during the day, or a piece of candy, or whatever it may be. You know, it's better to do that than to give up altogether and just say, well, if I'm going to die, younger than if the only way I can increase my lifespan is eating 7 days a week, then eating healthy 7 days a week, then I'm just going to eat junk food because there's no point. So you need to, you can't take advice so rigidly. You gotta manipulate it to your own life and manipulate it to what suits you. And you need to do that without coping and without a bias, which is very hard and is like the hardest part of self-reliance, because we humans, have biases and we cope. You say, "Oh, I can't do that because I'm tired." But sometimes you can do it. You just have to push yourself and you're just coping. So you kind of need to figure yourself out honestly and just, kind of look at your situation and ask yourself, am I coping right now? Or am I actually beat because I've been working so much and going really hard and I need a break? So you need to look at that and, trust yourself. Trust yourself to be able to analyze if you're coping or not, or if you're being biased, because there's so many advice contradicts itself nowadays. And what has made me recently think about this a lot is because of a man named Oliver Berkman. And I first heard Oliver Berkman talk on the Waking Up app because I've recently started doing that for meditation, and I really like it. But I heard Oliver Berkman talk about productivity and time management, and at first, I got the message that productivity is stupid. You can't tie your well-being to your job, or you can't tie your identity to something. And I agree with that, but he just made it seem like you need to let life more come at you. Say yes to opportunities that arise, and stop trying to control your time so much, and stop trying to be so productive. Really, that's kind of really his premise, is stop trying to be so productive. And I've come from a view where I'm trying to be productive. I'm trying to make videos, I'm trying to read, I'm trying to gain knowledge, do my stuff, go to the gym, and come from a point of where before, prior, it was the advice I was receiving was say no to things. You must say no to have time to do your stuff. If you say yes to everything, you're going to have no time. And I believe Oliver Berkman kind of steps on that a little bit and says, well, you don't have to say no, you can do it. Just make sure you're doing your other stuff daily-ish, and make sure you're still giving you time to your work, but say yes to other things, because you can't control everything that happens. So at first I took Oliver Berkman's advice as very rigid. I said, whoa, I need to say yes to every opportunity now. I need to say yes to doing all these things I want to say no to. Okay, I mean, we'll try it. And in doing that, I did not like it. I did not find like I was using my time valuably. And then I listened to him some more, and he was just really saying more of the same. And I've been reading his book 4,000 Weeks. It's a really good book, and I'm not trying to bash Oliver Berkman. I really like Oliver Berkman, actually. But there's just, like a person, trying to figure themselves out in life, you need to say no to things. And then even if you aren't, if you figured yourself out and you have your goal, you still need to say no to things that aren't your goal. And I think I took Oliver's advice too rigid. So that's kind of why I'm saying that, the rigid thing. And it's like, yes, sometimes it's good. You can't be all about work. You can't be all about business. But you still do need those boundaries where you say no to things because you're trying to get somewhere. You say no to things because you have a goal and it's not aligning with your goal. And there's also other times where you need to say yes to those things because maybe you're burnt out and maybe you need a little break. And maybe in doing that thing, you'll have a good idea and you'll come back to your work more ready. But, it's, you don't want to just give up on productivity altogether, I believe. Because, I think a lot of people who quote unquote made it will talk about, oh, like productivity doesn't mean that much, and it's a trap, la di da di da. But how they got to their position was just straight grinding and productivity. And now that they're there and they don't have to, I mean, you know what I mean? I'm not trying to bash anybody, but now that they don't quote unquote have to work as hard, then they say, oh, it's, have fun, take it easy, it'll all work out. And I think that's, you should think it's all going to work out. But, they kind of, I feel like they forget where they came from almost, in the sense that, you were working like 12-hour days to get to where you are. And now that you're there, you can, dial the work back and have a more work life balance. But you were actually working pretty hard, and you weren't, saying yes to all these opportunities to get to where you are. So, yeah, that's kind of what I feel like about, the rigidness and just not taking advice so seriously. But also, you need to look at, advice like, just say yes to everything and maybe agree with it, but trust your self reliance and be like, okay, maybe I do need to start saying yes to more things, more things that aren't quote unquote my goal, but I still need to, work hard on my thing and, not get too caught down in the rabbit hole of not, going after what I want and not going after my goal. So I think, there's a fine line, and you need self-reliance to trust and self-reliance to make the best decision. Because at the end of the day, if you dogmatically follow something that you truly don't believe in, then it's not real, and you're not gonna, say it's you're not gonna enjoy it. You need to trust yourself, and I don't want that to come from the side of pride or arrogance, but there does need to be a little bit of self-reliance in your life, and sometimes you need to have a little bit of pride and be like, no, I'm right here. I value your opinion. I see your perspective, but I just don't agree. And I'm going to keep doing me because that's what I believe is right. Because if you just become a people pleaser and let everyone step all over you and never truly do what you want to do, you could be suppressing a gift that the world would be grateful, and the world would be, you know, the world needs. Everyone has a gift that the world needs, I believe. And if you don't rely on self-reliance and just listen to everybody, then your gift can't come true. Your gift can't come into fruition. And yeah, so trust yourself, but don't cope. Don't try to get rid of your biases, even though it's impossible. And also, don't take advice so rigidly. And check out Oliver Burkeman if you haven't. His book 4,000 Weeks is really good. Um, but don't be so rigid in reading him and thinking that, I mean, maybe you won't, but in my watching and reading, it almost comes from a side where it's like you need to say yes more. But I don't think a lot of people need to say yes more. I think that's a small majority of people that need to say yes more because they work too hard. Not everyone's a productivity guru. Most people are self-indulgent.